Welcome to Dubs Talk Live, joined with Monte Poole. I'm Zena, Keita. Monte, authority on the Golden State Warriors. We're going to need that authority tonight. Warriors took care of business of the Charlotte Hornets, 97-84. Neither team hit the 100-point mark, and that can be a testament to the Warriors' defense and also their ability to distribute the ball. Had 5 players in double figures. However, it was not a pretty win. Not only did they get outscored in that fourth quarter, it ended in a little bit of a scuffle.
Yeah, it did. I mean, the game itself, it started slow. This is a game where it's the second game out of the All-Star break, back-to-back game, and both teams, it showed. I mean, you could see it. They were both laboring out there pretty early, so somebody had to win this game, and the Warriors found a way to win it. But early on, it's like nobody was going to try and go after this game. So. But if you're the Warriors, this is a game that means something to you.
Right.
The Hornets aren't playing for much. The Warriors are playing for everything every time they get on the floor. So they want to try and save their season. They want to try and move up to the number 6 seed. And when you face a team like Charlotte at home, you can't let that team come in and beat you. And tonight, they made sure it didn't happen.
You're right. Thinking about the fatigue that was setting in, this is the 12th set of the Warriors' 17 back-to-back sets throughout this season, which is the high in the NBA. But as you mentioned, they were able to pull this out. This is what this means for them.
Yes.
They're trying to make a push for the playoffs. A win is a win.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd love to hear your thoughts on what this actually means for the Warriors to be able to pull out a win like this on the second night of a back-to-back.
Yeah, it just speaks to their fortitude, I think. I mean, this is a team that realizes that in the first half of this season, they blew a lot of games. And they don't have that margin of error now. They have to try and get every game they can. And so when a team comes in here with a losing record, even though the Hornets have been playing better lately.
They had 4 straight wins coming in here.
They've been better lately, but this is still a team that comes into their house. And that's the other part of this. They're trying to establish a home court advantage. They haven't had it all year. It's been a 500 team at home. And so now they got, they're getting a little better than that. And they want to try and establish that before the playoffs get here. And so I think when you look at a game like tonight, you're thinking, just gut it out. Gut it out. It's ugly because you got Denver coming in here on Sunday. Just get past these guys, find a way to win. And like I said, when you're playing for something and the other team isn't playing for as much except for pride, maybe next contracts and stuff like that, which does matter.
Right.
But if the Warriors are playing for standings. They want to try and get out of the 10th spot and want to get up to the top 6. And so, they find a way to win. And it also highlights their depth.
Yes.
You can play 7, 8, 9, 10 different players in this game. So, and the Warriors played everybody. They played everybody on the roster tonight. So that's something you don't often see, but tonight they did, and they could.
And all players except one were able to find a way to score a bucket, which is great. Again, this is something that the Warriors have struggled with, is that consistency. But even so, they were able to make a lot of rotations work somewhat and get their 28 assists right up there with their average of 29. But let's just be real. The offense tonight was questionable.
That's putting it mildly.
It was questionable. Warriors got off to a slow start, and this happens with athletic teams. They had 22 total turnovers tonight. Why is it that the Warriors struggle against teams like a Charlotte Hornets?
Well, first of all, I think the Warriors have a thing where they make these risky passes when
you're seeing them on the screen, folks.
They make these passes that don't have to be made, and we hear it all the time that coaching staff and even the Warriors, when they're on the game, they will say it, just make the simple pass. But they figure, okay, we got the Hornets in here, let's try and get a little crazy, Next thing you know, they're trying to do that, and next thing you know, you have turnovers. So that's one way, and they've done that this season in a few games where their turnovers have kept the opponent in the game, and in a couple of cases, their turnovers have cost them the game. So Draymond likes to say, we want to build good habits. And you build good habits every single night. That's the goal, no matter who you're playing. And so tonight, you look at the Warriors and the way they played, it was kind of raggedy. And you just don't want to – that's not a good habit. You want to try and – I suspect that when they play on Sunday, they'll be much, much better, much, much sharper, because this was one of those games where you just wanted to get through it.
And it's been a busy week. Of course, when you think about what Steph Curry has gone through, going to Indianapolis, coming back and playing 3 games, and then going on the back-to-back, obviously the set here. I'm curious for you, as you look at them trying to do some riskier things, whether it's, ball distribution, just trying to get the ball moving faster in pace. If you're a coach, are you that upset at some of the turnovers that were happening? What did you make of the types of turnovers that were happening?
Tonight, not because I know the team, there's some fatigue there. So, I mean, I'm not going to blow a gasket over it.
Okay.
Now, at the same time, you do want to get those habits, and you want to be able to understand the value of the basketball. And if I'm a coach, I'm like, dang, where's Chris Paul when I need him? Because, if Chris is out there, things settle down and you don't see the ball flying all over the place. So, but in a game like this, I mean, Dario had 4 turnovers in 16 minutes.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Right.
It's just, you look down the list of turnovers and it's like Dario had 4, Steph had 4, JK had 3, Clay had 3, so it's like these are guys that are in your rotation that are turning the ball over. And again, in a game like this, under the circumstances, again, back-to-back, but they're supposed to be deep enough to where they're not super fatigued. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But in this game, you're like, I think they reached a point where it's like, okay, go in the locker room, because the first half was worse than the second half, I think. And go in the locker room and just score, get it over with. And so they scored 54 points in the second half after 43 in the first half. That first half was, my goodness. Ooh.
It was a little bit of The Walking Dead in that first half. And the funny thing is, I've never even seen an episode of that show. I just assume that's what it
felt. Yeah,
that's what you just felt.
That was the vibe. Huh?
It was the vibe of the first half. But you mentioned not super fatigued. I feel like that term, not super, is exactly how you can describe this game. Not everyone was super, but there were solid performances. There was just enough. And I think that someone that had a really solid performance, and this is great when you think about the trajectory of his year and his season, it's Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah.
And his ability to come in and be, tonight, the ultimate performer of the game in just being solid.
Yep.
And how important is it that Andrew Wiggins doesn't need to be a 30 and 20 guy every night, but him just being a 10 and 10, a 14 and 10, 14 and 7, what type of impact does that make, just being consistent?
I think when Andrew is on his game, there's a level of trust where they've seen him play really well. And when he's on his game, it gives this entire team a lift, because then the defense has to worry about someone else.
Yeah.
And Andrew's one of those guys that can score from 3, but also can attack the bucket.
Right.
And so I think in Andrew's case, for him to come out on a birthday.
On a birthday. There's something about birthdays.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge night, but, he was efficient. Took only 8 shots, but he made 5 of them. 3 assists, he had a block shot, a steal. So he did good things on a night when he showed that he had enough energy to get through, 28 minutes and play well. And he was plus 12, so take that. Again,
if you look down the box score, not everyone was super great. I mean, I will say 13 rebounds for Draymond Green.
That's pretty special.
That is special. Yes. That is pretty super in itself. And then, of course, Brandon Pajemski with his 6 rebounds and 6 assists. I would say that's pretty special. But for the most part, like you said, this was a gutted out type of game.
Yeah.
Now, looking at moving forward, you mentioned CP3 and the addition of a CP3. In a game like this, when you're trying to gut it out and you're not necessarily trying to push pace because you're tired.
You're tired, exactly.
You're tired trying to save yourself, and you got a big game on Sunday that you have to, gear up for. How valuable CP3 could have been in something like this?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that, he's able to milk the clock. Chris is one of those guys who he's never in a hurry. He just figures, okay, we got 24 seconds here.
Yep.
Let's use whatever we have to use to get a good shot.
Yep.
If we can do it, and if it takes 20 seconds, so be it.
Yeah.
The key is to get shot quality, not shot speed. Not how fast. There's some coaches who believe in that. Let's get a shot up in 6 seconds, 8 seconds, and Chris doesn't play that way. And I think when you see him come back, you'll see games like this where he'll come in and he'll just kind of bring some stability and some, I guess, on a night like tonight, some sanity to the proceedings, because a lot of what went on tonight was just kind of crazy. And so you're watching that, and so the way he values possessions is something that you just don't see everybody do.
Yeah, he very much gives me the idea of a true professional on the court in every single possession, just trying to find an opportunity to examine any single option
Yes.
of one play.
Yep.
And
He's a prober.
That's a great word for it. He's a prober.
Yeah.
Well, we do have some breaking news that you, Monte, covered for us. For the Toyota breaking news, Steve Kerr is now the highest paid coach in the NBA, signing his contract extension, 2 years, $35 million contract extension, 17.5 per year. Whew,
Yeah.
that is some serious money. For Kerr, now being one of the longest tenured coaches behind, I believe, Eric Spoelstra with the Miami Heat, and then Greg Popovich with the San Antonio Spurs, that longevity, that consistency, what has that brought for the Warriors over the years?
That's what it's all about. I mean, this team has been to 4 finals in Steve's first 8 years. I mean, in the previous 20 years, they only made the playoffs 4 times. So, and now they're a playoff regular. They've only missed the playoffs twice. You know, so when you look at what Steve does and has done for this team, and again, the continuity is Steve, and it's Steph, it's Draymond, and it's Clay. All 4 of these guys have been together now for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I think that's what Joe Lacob and Mike Dunleavy, you know, that's a factor here. It's like, you know what, they want this guy to be here with them, and it's not a coincidence that his contract, his 2-year extension, which begins next season, lines up with Draymond Green and Stephen Curry. Curry's contract ends in 26. Draymond's contract ends in 27, but that last year is an option year. So his guaranteed contract is only the next 2 years, and just like Steph will be, and Steve will be. So, like Draymond said, you know, we're all together, and so at least another 2 years they'll all be together. And now, you know, they got to figure out a way to get Clay back, because I'm sure that's what they want.
And Stephen Curry did say that, that he feels that Draymond and Clay not going anywhere.
Right.
They're going to be here for a long time. I think that's obviously the vibe of the team, to have those 3 pillar players be able to stay, and getting Steve Kerr into the mix. I saw after the game in the back by the locker room, Joe Lacob come out and shake Kerr's hand, big smiles on everyone's faces. You can just tell that they appreciate him within this organization.
Absolutely. And, you know, and there were times during this season when, you know, there was some whispers about, you know, maybe Joe Lacob was getting a little antsy. You know, I mean, you know, the Warriors aren't playing well, and, you know, they blew some games, and it's like, you know, and we know Joe wants to win because he's got the highest payroll in the NBA. And you don't want to pay a lot of money for mediocrity.
Right.
Looking for a good team, a quality team. And so, but again, in the end, the value of continuity is so important to these guys. And the players want Steve here. And so when you got Draymond and Steph for 2 more years locked in, makes sense to give Steve 2 more years. And his contract, his annual salary does exceed. Popovich signed a 5-year contract for $80 million. Yeah. Now, there are people who think, man, he's like 77 years old.
He's going to make it the 5 years, right?
You know, is he going to, you know, he's going to be coaching at 80 or what, you know? And then Monty Williams in Detroit got, you know, a big ton of money too. So Steve is the one guy, though, who has 4 rings over the last 16, 17, 18 years. Wow. So based on what this team has done and where this team has gone since his arrival, if you're going to pay him, if you're going to give him a contract, it has to be one that's atop of the league.
Okay. Well, I'm just getting this in. Gary Payton is at the podium, so we're going to listen to his sound, see what his thoughts were for the game.
Gary, Steve reportedly agreed to a 2-year extension to stay with the Warriors for the next 2 years. What do you make of that, and what does he mean to you, you know, as a coach?
Yeah, congrats to Coach Steve, well deserved. Shout out Mike Dunleavy to getting it done. And Coach is just, he actually gave me my first shot, like my real shot, on being myself when I got here a few years ago. He told me, just be me, do what you do, not worried about offensively. You'll find your spots, you know, just as time comes. And other than that, like, he literally just threw me in the fire. And I ain't had nobody, no organization or coaching staff, you know, give me that confidence. And he gave me that when I first got here, and, you know, it ended up working out, and, you know, and we're here today. So it was just like, I appreciate him and all the guys that, you know, believed in him and told him that, you know, I can play and I can hoop and I deserve to be up here. So shout out Coach Steve. Hi, Janie. How are you?
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Good, thanks. How do you feel like you guys are coming together this stretch since that double overtime game against the Lakers? That was the heartbreaker. I mean, that's been a couple weeks.
Was it Lakers or Clippers? It was Lakers? Here, right?
Anyway, you guys have won 10 of 12 since a couple tough ones, and Chris Paul's coming back, and things just you're healthy again. Things seem to be starting to click, and rotations kind of figuring themselves out. And how encouraged are you about where you guys are right now?
It's great. Everybody's buying in. We're not playing tug of war with the staff and us, and we're just going out there. Whoever gets put in for however long it is, they go in, they give energy and effort. And the next guy's up. We're trying to rotation that I can see right now. We're keeping a lot of guys fresh, a lot of guys getting a lot of minutes, and everybody's producing pretty well. So our rotation's going good, and we're just vibing like we did in the beginning of the year. Like I said, it started right before the break. We needed it big to get back into the hunt, the mix, and thank God that we came back, continue to stay locked in. So hopefully we can run off a few and get back in the mix.
Gary, I asked Wiggins last night about the process of finding himself back in a good flow, and he said he's just stuck with putting up more shots and sticking with what has worked for him over time. I mean, what have you learned maybe by watching him and Clay work through some tough stretches to sort of get back in a groove?
Both of them had tougher stretches than what they've been going through, and I know what they've been through is probably nothing compared to what they had to go through in the last couple of times. So that's them being them. They know how to get their stuff out of funks. The best thing we can do is just have their back, keep encouraging them, give them confidence, and let them be them. And sure enough, they got out of it and accepted the roles and accepted the changes that coach has made, and they've been phenomenal. Clay's been phenomenal off the bench. Wiggs been phenomenal. And that's a big part of why we're, clicking right now.
When we come back, we'll talk about another player that was phenomenal tonight, the rookie Brandon Pajemski on Dubs Talk Live, presented by Mancini's Sleep World. Don't go anywhere.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Visit Mancini Sleep World. We'll pay the sales tax on select mattresses. Or visit sleepworld.com.
What's up, YouTube?
You.
All right. I love this by Carmar. A barometer game, next game.
Yes, it is.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I also love the way he spelled that. Let's go. Lezgow.
Okay.
Yes, I like
Okay.
that. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, the
thoughts on that?
Nuggets coming in here. Last time Nuggets were here, you remember how that game ended. Nikola Jokic hit a bank shot from 1,000,000 feet away.
Oh, heartbreaking.
And I've never seen Nikola Jokic with that kind of joy.
Oh, he looked like a little kid.
He was
Yeah.
happier than he was when he won the finals. I mean, he ran off the court like he just won $1 billion.
Yes.
That's like Nikola.
Yes.
I've never seen that before. He was probably amazed that the shot went in.
Mm-hmm.
But when you hit a 40-foot bank shot, you should be amazed because those are not supposed to go in.
He wasn't even supposed to be in that situation.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To even get that shot going.
So, yeah, you want to make sure when they come to the building on Sunday that you're ready to play them because
Yeah.
they are the defending champs. You're trying to get. You're not going to catch them this year. You're not going to catch them.
Yeah.
But you want to let them know that you're now serious.
Yeah. I will say, let's see, Kay Kalua about that scuffle. Lester stood on business. Love to see it.
Yeah.
They are being mentored by Draymond Green. Are you surprised? Stood on business. I love it.
The Warriors, throughout the time that Steve has been here, they play. If there's time on the clock, he doesn't want you guys just to take a turnover for no reason. And so if there's 30 seconds left in the game and there's 24 on the clock, put a shot up.
Yeah.
Put a shot up. If it's 6 seconds left, then okay, hold the ball, sit on it.
Yeah.
So some teams get upset about that, and I think that's childish. I do. I've always thought that, though.
I agree. I agree. Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live by Mancini Sleep World. Monte, Poole, Zena, Keita here, breaking down the 97-84 Golden State Warriors win over the Charlotte Hornets. And there was only really one player that was consistent across the board.
I wonder who that was.
Are we surprised at this point? Yes, we are talking about the rookie, Brandon Pajemski, finished with 13 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. Before we chat him up, we'll let him chat to you. He was at the podium earlier. Let's hear his thoughts.
Pods, any thoughts on Steve Kerr's contract, agreed upon contract extension?
Oh my gosh, that is a lot of money. But yeah, he told us after that he's going to pay for Lester's ejection, and he just said thank you to everybody that's kind of contributed over the years, the coaches, the players that really made it possible for him. So I think that was big time for him to say. But yeah, I think he's earned it. 4 championships with this group, looking to make it 5 this year. So I think he's definitely earned it.
Defensively, what worked well for you guys today? Holding a team to 84 points in today's game is rare to do. What clicked tonight? Yeah,
I think in the modern NBA, it's just kind of like if you don't give up threes and you don't let them shoot free throws, you got a pretty good chance. And they only shot 11 free throws the whole game, and shot 28% from 3. So I think we did a pretty good job coming in, just trying to limit Trey Mann and Brandon Miller, trying to show them a lot of bodies, and I think we did that for the most part. And then they only kind of scored really when we turned the ball over. So I think in the second half we did a better job of not turning it over. So the lead expanded.
Draymond talked a lot about what went down at the very end of the game. I don't know if that was your first garbage time scuffle, but what was your vantage point on that whole situation?
Well, we got it. I think it was like a 1 second difference between the shot and game clock. And if there's time on the shot clock, we're always gonna go for possession. We don't just want to turn over. And so Lester was open. I threw it to him and goaltend. And obviously Miles Bridges wasn't happy with that. But I mean, they're the ones pressing down 13 with a minute to go. So I mean, you can look at it from either side. But yeah, the scuffle played out. Everybody that was on the floor kind of helped out our own teammates, and which is good to see from a camaraderie perspective. But yeah, I mean, there's time on the game clock and the shot clock, so we're going to play.
That makes sense coming out of Brandon Pajemski. There's time on the game clock and the shot clock, so we're going to play. And that's what he does.
Yes.
Charge takes tonight. Great. I mean, outside shooting, not so great, but making the right plays, driving up the lane. This player just continues to be solid.
Yeah.
What impresses you most about Brandon Pajemski?
Just that he gives you something every single night. And sometimes he gives you multiple things. You know what I mean? But you can rely on him to give you good things consistently over the course of a game. Yeah, he's going to miss some shots and stuff. He's going to make a turnover every now and then. But his assist-to-turnover ratio is really good.
Yep.
But to me, the most astonishing thing is the way he rebounds. I mean, come on, man. This dude is 6'3", 6'4", and he's out there getting, tonight he had 6, but he's had 8 and 9. There's probably been 10 or 11 games this season where he was leading the team in rebounds. And, I asked Steve Kerr about this before the game. I said, can you get the other guys to, do what he does?
Right.
He goes, no. He said,
it's one of a kind.
He said, you watch the shot go up, and he's always the first one going to the basket, going to the ball.
Just tenacious.
Yes.
And, of course, 6 assists, 0 turnovers for Brandon Pajemski. All right. When we get back, there's a joker coming to town.
Ooh, boy.
That'll close out this home stretch. We'll see what the Warriors do against Denver on Sunday. We'll talk about it on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. Otis Bird III. Grant Williams has beef with the Warriors going back to the 2022 finals. What?
Grant has beef with a lot of people.
I was going to say that, and I had to figure
is.
out how to say it. But what is it what's so fascinating, particularly, is because, Grant Williams is such a cerebral player.
Right.
And a cerebral person. His parents are incredibly intelligent as well and accomplished. I'm not sure where that
We're trying to prove?
animosity or who
What's he trying to prove?
Where does that come from?
Yeah. I don't know him at all.
Yeah.
But I've heard, people talk about him, and it seems like he's one of those people who has to prove that he's a tough guy.
Yeah.
I'm a real one. You know, one of those guys, that attitude. I'm a real one, you know.
I've met him before, and he's so nice. He
Yes.
seems very kind,
But on the
very
court-
gentle giant, but on the court is a different story, of course.
I mean, he worked his welcome in half a year in Dallas.
Yeah.
You know, those
Yeah.
guys didn't help into the season. They're like, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
And they moved him. I mean, he was a big free agent signing for them in the summer, and he lasted 3 months.
Yeah.
And so, and now we'll see how it goes. But you know, Boston didn't keep him, and he was part of their team that went to the finals.
Yeah.
So, I mean, something's a little bit off there when you have a guy who helps you get to the finals, and you decide, no, okay, you're gonna be a free agent. Okay, we'll see you, bro.
We'll let you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very strange. Another thing, 2 things Pods has that makes him so effective as a rookie. Andis Brown says he plays hard and he has
Yes.
high basketball IQ
Yes.
already.
Yes.
And it's true. Whenever you come into the league ready,
Yes.
always a positive. All right.
Yes.
We'll be back to talk what's coming up next. The Joker and the Denver Nuggets. All righty, folks. Appreciate you guys tuning in on
Big
YouTube.
game.
Very, very big game. Barometer game. Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live, presented by Mancini Sleep World. Let's close out tonight's show by looking at the Warriors versus Nuggets storyline. And right now, the first few chapters have not gone the Warriors' way.
No.
3 losses in a row, including that heartbreaker, January 4th, 130-127 loss. This is an opportunity for them to change the end of this story this season.
Yeah, and you look at the scores, I mean, all of those games were close games. There were no blowouts, you know, and the Warriors had chances to win all of those games.
Yeah.
And the game that they lost here, they really had a chance to win that one. They
Right,
had a nice
yeah.
fat lead,
Yeah.
and they gave it back. And so that's going to hurt them. But they're not playing tiebreakers with the Nuggets because they're not going to be competing with them.
Right.
The Nuggets are too far ahead of them. But you still want to let people know that, okay, you know, we're coming. You know, and so if they come out here Sunday and don't find a way to win the game, whatever it takes,
Yeah.
it will be a setback, no matter how you look at it, because they've come so far in the past few weeks. But Denver now is like a real test. And the last real test to me, was the Clippers. And they gave that game back.
They did.
So this is a game that's going to be tough. And I know Jamal Murray did not play tonight in Portland, but he was resting. I'm guessing that
Potentially,
he'll be,
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
I think you'll see him on Sunday.
I think they all get geared up for these type of
Yes.
games, right? And you think about particularly that 127-130 loss. That wasn't the heartbreaker one. That was the dagger, right?
yeah.
So this is just another close loss. Do you think that the Warriors are on a revenge tour after they beat the Lakers, right? That beat them 145-144, and now potentially against the Nuggets?
Whatever it takes, revenge, whatever you want to call it. They know this is a big game for them to make a statement. Barometer game? Yeah, I believe that.
All right, Monte, Poole, Zena, Keita, appreciate you guys tuning in to Dubs Talk Live, presented by Mancini Sleep World. Y'all go get some sleep. We got day off. Back on Sunday, folks.
Afternoon game.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Bree Banks. She said, Zena is pretty. Of course, he was nice to her.
Well,
That's very sweet.
you know,
Potentially.
she's right. She's right.
Potentially,
Yeah.
potentially. Great point. Kay Haley. I think it's Kai. It's pretty. We didn't have Dre or GP2 for those Denver games. Let's
True.
get the last W.
True.
How can they make an impact on this game specifically with this
Well,
matchup?
Draymond really kind of makes Joker work. You know, he's outsized as he usually is.
Yeah.
But his savvy and just his clever defense can bring some level of frustration. Ain't nobody gonna stop Joker. Ain't nobody gonna stop him. You know,
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No, nobody gonna stop him. I mean, in Denver they think Joel Embiid ducks him. You know.
Yeah, it's true.
And Joker's a 2-time MVP for a reason. And you know, I saw Draymond on the podcast the other day and was asked who would he, no Warriors included, but who would you pick as your teammates? And Joker was one of them. You know, he said, he named the guys. He named 4 guys, and at the end he said, Joker.
Yeah.
He said Joker's an animal.
You can't deny that. Yeah.
So
he's got a different mindset when he gets on the court.
and the guy
Yeah.
is so good in the paint. I mean, it's like you're waiting for him to miss a shot somewhere in the paint, and you might be waiting a week.
Right.
Because it's like he has such great touch. And you see a lot of big guys get in the paint, and they flub a layup every now and then. He does not do that.
Right.
He
No,
does
exactly.
not do that. He doesn't dunk either. He just like
flips
Finds-
it, little
yes,
finger
yes.
roll. Yeah.
They always
he gets
seem
his
to drop.
rebound back,
Yep.
puts it back up.
Yep.
It's very impressive. And it is something that, up and coming players do need to figure out and work particularly on the ability to just have that dexterity.
Yes, yes.
Because that's so much more impressive
Yes.
than the ability to dunk.
Yes.
If you are able to finish at will, it's Mike and drill.
Yeah.
It's the mic and drill. If you guys don't know what that is,
Yeah.
it's when you
Look
sit
it
under
up.
the basket and you're just going back and forth. It's
Yeah.
the worst. If you are a post player, it's the worst drill ever, but it's so key.
Yes.
It's so important if you can do the mic and drill really well. And that's what Joker does at will. Last question before we wrap up here. Barometer game.
Mm-hmm.
If the Warriors win this game, should the rest of the West
Uh-oh.
be scared?
Be what?
Scared.
Woo! Not scared, scared.
Scared. Okay.
On alert, yes.
On alert,
Because the
yes.
thing about the Warriors is that, they are at a place where you don't really measure them as much in the regular season as you do in the postseason.
That's right.
And
yeah, that's a good
the
point.
postseason, when they get there, they have a way usually. They didn't do it last year, but they usually have a way of finding ways to win games and figuring teams out over a 7-game series. And so if they get top 6, if they can avoid the play-in tournament where anything can happen
Right.
and get top 6, I don't think they care who they play. I just think they want to get top 6 and get to action. And so, I'm not going to say scared, but if you're in the West and you see the Warriors in the postseason, they have a chance to knock you out.
Right.
I mean, I'll go back to Lil Wayne, what he said. They're like the Patriots back in with the NFL.
Oh, yeah. That's
he
exactly
said, hey,
right. He's talked to his son about that,
yeah,
right?
he said,
yeah.
he said, I'm going with the Warriors because
You just
they
can't
got
count them out.
Steph. You
Yeah.
got Steph. He said, like those Patriots, man, you look around every year, you say, oh, they ain't going to win it, and then they win another Super Bowl. Well, they got Brady. He said,
Yeah.
the Warriors got Steph. Same thing.
Yeah, you just can't count them out. Can't count them out. All right. We appreciate you guys joining us on our YouTube chat. I mean, you guys are awesome. Appreciate
Absolutely.
all the time staying with us on a Friday night. Remember, Sunday's game is at 4 p.m. Early tip. Okay? Get your brunch in early. Get your grocery shopping done soon. Okay? All right. We appreciate you. Have a wonderful evening. Zena, Keita, Monte, Poole. Good night, folks.